Auzubillahiminashaitanirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So today in this video we are going to discuss the cranial nerve number 4, which is the trochlear nerve. It is entirely motor in structure. So first of all we will discuss the location of its nucleus and then its course. First thing that you need to know is that it comes out from the midbrain. So on the posterior side of the midbrain, if we draw it like this, we have the superior colliculus and similarly we have the inferior colliculus. So the trochlear nerve emerges just below the inferior colliculus from the medial side towards the lateral side. So, and also it is the only nerve which emerges from the back or the cranial portion or the dorsal portion of your brain stem. And if we look at our brain stem like this, and this is the cerebellum, so the trochlear nerve is going to emerge from somewhere here and it is going to run forwards. And if we draw the oculomotor nerve, so we'll find it over here. So this is the oculomotor and this is the trochlear, both of which emerge from the midbrain. So we can see the oculomotor is going to be upwards, whereas the trochlear nerve is going to be downwards. And oculomotor emerges from the anterior portion of the midbrain, whereas the trochlear nerve is going to emerge from the posterior portion of the midbrain and run anterolaterally, and it will be a little bit downwards as compared to the oculomotor nerve coming out from the midbrain. Now when we discuss about the nucleus of the oculomotor nerve, it is going to be located in the cerebral aqueduct. So what is the cerebral aqueduct? So we'll look at this photo to understand our midbrain and the location of the cerebral aqueduct as well. So this is our midbrain and it has the substantia nigra, which is the you can say the main point of identification. Then we come to this region, that is the cerebral aqueduct of the midbrain and its surrounding gray matter. So if you are going to draw your things like this, then you draw this portion in the midbrain, that is the central cavity of the midbrain. So at the region of the midbrain, this central cavity is known as the cerebral aqueduct. When it comes at the level of the cerebellum and pons, etc., it comes to be known as the fourth ventricle. So we can say that the upward elongation of the fourth ventricle in the midbrain is actually the cerebral aqueduct. And on the anterior portion of the cerebral aqueduct, we can find the nuclei of the trochlear nerve, from which the trochlear nerve will emerge and it will cross over as soon as it will move out of the midbrain. So the trochlear nerve emerges from the nucleus that is present in the anterior portion of the cerebral aqueduct, and from here the nucleus moves posteriorly and it crosses over. So right side is going to move on the left side is going to move on the right side. So this is the decussation or crossing over that is occurring as soon as the trochlear nerve leaves the midbrain from the posterior side. Now, one thing we need to know about the trochlear nerve is how many afferent or incoming fibers it is receiving. So the afferent or incoming fibers are mainly from the cerebral cortex. These are known as the corticonuclear fiber. They are going from the cerebral cortex and they are going to come to the trochlear nerve. Similarly, from the superior colliculus that is associated with visual information, the fibers that are going to come to the trochlear nerve, they are going to be known as the not cortico but rather tectobulbar, because they are coming from this tectum region of the midbrain. So one is cortico spinal fibers, second one is the tectobulbar fibers. Another special region is there from which this nuclei are going to come and the information is going to be relayed to the trochlear nerve. This special region connects the trochlear nerve with the 3rd, 6th and the 8th nerves. 3rd, 6th and 8th cranial nerves. So cortico-spinal nerves, the tectobulbar, and the special one, the medial longitudinal fasciculus, which connects it with the 3rd, 6th and the 8th cranial nerves. So everything about the location of the trochlear nerve nucleus has been, we have discussed that it was coming out from the cerebral aqueduct on its anterior part, and it was coming out just below the inferior colliculus, and the fibers it was receiving were corticonuclear fibers, similarly the tectobulbar fibers and the medial longitudinal fasciculus, which connects it to the 3rd, 6th and the 8th cranial nerve. Now we are going to discuss another thing, which is the course of this trochlear nerve. So one thing I've told you about this course is that as soon as the trochlear nerve leaves the posterior side of the midbrain, it decussates. So we can see the decussation word written over here, and we can see the decussation occurring over here. So this is the decussation that we can see. On the posterior portion of the midbrain, we can see the decussation occurring over here. Now, one thing we need to know about the trochlear nerve is it is going to be present in the middle cranial fossa, and from here it is going to come in the lateral wall of the cavernous sinus, and it will then enter into the orbit through the superior orbital fissure. Let me explain that to you. So now this is the main course of our nerve. As I told you that it is going to come out from the posterior side of the midbrain, then it is going to come anterolaterally, and then it is going to pass through this region, which is the cavernous sinus. Then it is going to pass from the superior orbital fissure. We have superior and inferior one, but it is going to pass through the superior orbital fissure, and then it is going to supply one of the muscles of eye, that is the superior oblique muscle. So now you can see in this diagram, it is coming from the posterior portion of the midbrain, just below the inferior colliculus, coming outwards. Then it will pass somewhere in the cavernous sinus. Then it will pass through the superior orbital fissure somewhere over here to enter the orbit, and it will supply the superior oblique muscle. The main thing about this muscle and its innervation is that it is going to cause us to look downwards and laterally. If there is any lesion, any disruption of the trochlear nerve, a person would not be able to look downwards, rather their eye will be positioning upwards. So in that situation, the person will have a blurry vision. So what you can see in the trochlear nerve palsy, that the eye is positioning and it is looking upwards as compared to downwards, because there is no movement or no support from the downside, and so the eye will be pulled upwards, and this is occurring due to the absence of the function of superior oblique muscle, which was innervated by the trochlear nerve. So this was all from my side on the trochlear nerve. We'll meet you in another video explaining another cranial nerve very soon. If you understand this, please make sure to leave a comment below, and if you like my videos, like them, and please do care subscribing, because it helps me a lot and motivates me to make new videos. Till then, Allah Hafiz.